What is up, everybody? Coach Ken from Giving It a Try. It's the official week 38, 2025 coming in. I mentioned it last week by accident. It was actually week 37. In the video, I mentioned week 38. I was getting a little ahead of myself. We had a little bit of a lull last week. We had a big race week the week before, but it's race week. As you can see right over my shoulder there, week 38, we got Ironman week. Full distance, 70.3, coming in hot. We have Ironman Maryland coached athletes, some first timers there, and some repeat athletes. We also have Ironman 70.3 New York. Again, a couple first timers and repeat athletes there as well. Weather's looking a little bit better than the usual for New York. Today, Sunday morning, as I'm recording this on September 14th, was a gorgeous morning here. That would have been the optimal race day, but hey, not every race day is going to be perfect. So still a little bit far out the forecast as far as like what the wind's going to be, the exact temperature and all that, but I'm banking on that. It's just going to be a magical weekend. I think it's owed to everybody after the amount of just races over the last couple of years and seasons. It seems that have just been having some crazy wild days out there. So the athletes are prepped, they're primed. Hopefully they watch the peaking video. They've peaked the taper video. They're tapering. All the work's done. That's the big takeaway right here. If you're racing next weekend, coached athlete or not, at one of these races or another one of these A races coming up, you're done. There's nothing else you can do, but you can still screw it up. That's the whole point of that, is by doing too much, maybe not doing anything. It's this fine line balance, and we'll talk about it in a second. You're probably going to start going crazy really soon. I've already gotten some messages on people, how they're feeling. Maybe they are not feeling prepared or they feel sluggish, and these are all natural things, and I'm going to go over a few reasons why you may be feeling like that. It's really this pre-race fatigue. You may think, I did all this training. I should feel awesome. I should feel like peak primed, ready to go, whether it was your first one or a repeat or whatever it is. But think about it. You just did tons of training, months of training. Some of you may not even have taken much of an off season in between last year, and you're just cruising, crushing races. You may have raced a few races already this year, and you've now peaked, especially for the Ironman athletes. Like peaked at some of these really big weeks. Like, I mean, if you're talking that you've done the 100-mile ride, you're talking like that's like a 6-hour workout at least, plus with your run and everything like that. So you're talking about these big workouts, like they're comparable to almost doing like a 70.3 on the weekends, as far as like effort duration wise and all that. So what happens is like the body's in this like fight or flight stress mode just month after month, where we're building with little step back, building little step back. Everybody handles each level a little differently, and especially if this is your, and again, it really doesn't matter first timer or not, it's still going to hit you differently season after season, depending on a variety of other factors there. So you're going to start to have this weird feeling. It's almost like an overtraining hangover, they call it. It's especially if you maybe pushed a little too hard in some of your sessions. That's why it's very important to keep that intensity balance that I always talk about with this like 80-20 approach to training. Is you could really overcook the turkey well ahead of race day, and now we're kind of playing like catch up coming to race day to try and kind of pump the brakes a little bit and save as much as we can. So going into this, again, keep your workout short, keep a little bit of intensity in there. Don't change anything. Actually pay more attention to your hydration and your fueling. Eat really good, healthy, whole foods all week. Your body is going to want it. As you come down now, like all this training stress dumping into your body for months and months and months. Now we're like sliding down the other side of the mountain right here. The body's like, oh, I'm not stressed as much. And now it's going to start shuttling its energy to, repairing the body a little more than usual, especially if you have some little overuse things going on, or maybe something's going on inside your body. Maybe a little overtraining created some hormonal imbalances. So the body's now trying to find this homeostasis zone here of what normal is again. And unfortunately, that's sliding into race day. So that's why we have to keep the workouts still going, keep them peppy, keep them a little like short bursts of, because you got to like remind the body, like, we're not done yet. We have something coming up. And this is what the week where you kind of get a little lax. I'm going to go out and eat some pizza and all this other stuff. And if you just haven't been doing that, not saying you can't, but if it hasn't been part of your routine, it's now not the time to start stressing your digestive system with a new diet, not eating enough because you think, oh, I'm not training. I don't need to eat enough. Like, still, we're topping off now. And that's another thing. Your body probably hasn't felt full, hasn't felt topped off in quite some time. And that's something I went into with this peak taper talk that I always get into. So I don't want to dive back into it too much. But as well, Unfortunately, some people get sick this week as well. Again, because that body was in this fight or flight. It was battling. It's been battling for months. And now it gets a little bit of a break. And now it puts all its resources into fighting things that have been kind of lingering and on board there. And also on top of that, let's talk about real life here. Like pre-race anxiety, like just thinking about like all these things. It's a lot of, you were just doing the physical side of it. Now the mental side of things is starting to kind of have its toll on you. You're just thinking like all day, you might be thinking about the race, what I have to pack, what do I have to do? Did I train enough? What's my fueling? What do I have to do? Especially if you're traveling, that whole aspect of it. And this is all training stuff. We didn't even get into life stuff, family, work, the world we live in now. There's always something, it depends how much you expose yourself to on media and things like that. I won't even get into any of that. But regardless of where you fall and all that, it puts a lot of strain and anxiety on you one way or another. So trying to keep all these things in balance, yeah, it's going to beat the crap out of you with no doubt about it. So what we have to do is keep an even keel, cruise into race week, feel confident, feel motivated, and just keep doing what we've been doing. You're going to probably feel some phantom aches and pains as the body's recovering and over adapting to your training stimulus that we've put in. You're just going to eventually have like a moment of mental burnout, probably most people have this week, where it's just been a lot. Like you invested in this process a long time ago and it's here. And now you're like, oh my God, like I just want, just want this race to come. You want to enjoy it. Yeah. But you're just like, oh, it's just like, I didn't think this time would come, but it's here. So trust your training, prioritize recovery. Again, that mental prep, stay focused, stay sharp, ignore the rest of the world right now. The time is yours. You've invested not only time, you've invested money in this race, you've invested all this other stuff. Focus on it. Let it be a part of you for this week. Hopefully you put some extra time aside to kind of just put those feet up as well. Check your equipment, connect with others too. Do something fun this week. Go do something, go for a walk, spend some extra time with your family since you'll have it a little bit. Call some people you haven't spoken to in the last few months. Tell them what you got coming up this week. Tell them, sorry that I haven't been around the last 4 or 5 months or year or whatever it was, and just kind of catch up on them. It'll be nice to take your mind off those things, but just understand you're not alone out there. The taper blues are real. There's also more involved than that. I don't know if we're going to get to it in this talk right now, but a few other things that could be playing a factor in the background that we'll talk about, but that's the gist of it. And with such big races and a big amount of athletes racing this week, I thought it was something very important to touch on because you're not alone out there. Trust me. I threw out a pacing talk. It's a private video for my coached athletes in the coaching app. And this is something I believe I did last marathon season. This is what I think was probably one of my best videos that I've put out for my athletes. It just totally breaks down pacing for events and what you should be doing out there for all events, from 5K to marathon, from sprint distance to Ironman distance. It kind of shows you the sliding scale and how we go about having a successful day, because you can put all the work in you want, but the more masterfully an athlete can pace their race, the closer they're going to get to their full potential. That's the quote that goes along with that. And it's just something very, very, it's a skill that has to be learned, and it's learned in training. When you're doing training properly, and we have these workouts that you're supposed to do at certain paces and certain intervals and things like that, that is part of the pacing, and that is part of how you build that out there and become better at that. For the marathoners out there, side note for you, I'm not forgetting about you. You are all just getting it done, popping along out there. A couple little issues popping up here, but that's because you're all starting to climb for these fall marathons here. Just remember though, I know some of you tested, some of you did we did like 5K, some did 10K, some did half marathon, like sub-maximal pacing activities, and people just like knocked it out of the park. But even if we readjusted zones, don't get on your high horse and say, well, look at the pace I ran during this test. I should be running that more often. Pump your brakes and slow down. Literally, that is going to be the downfall of your training. Remember, every workout has a reason. If you start doing that workout differently than it calls for, it becomes a different workout. If that easy run is something a little too fast, it's not an easy run. It's something other than an easy run. It's either a race pace gray zone run, a tempo run. And even if you say, I just felt good out there, that's good from time to time. And again, we could do that, but chances are you probably have another, especially at this point in the plan, another workout calling for faster paces this week, whether it's intervals, threshold work, tempo run. You probably have some workout lingering on the calendar coming up. And the last thing we want to do is overdo it, only get 1 day of rest, have to go out there, and then we don't perform at the paces we could have performed, which would have been maybe a little bit of a breakthrough by getting quicker leg turnover, getting your heart rate up a little more during that interval because you were a little gassed. So just remember, every workout has a reason. If you're not doing the workout as specified for why we need to do that workout, it becomes a different workout. Just remember that. Not saying that, we have to be so 100% by the book, but there's a reason that these plans are set up that way. So just remember all that as we come through. Again, it's nice. Enjoy those easier runs. Enjoy the bulk of your training. Your miles are going up week after week, so we really need to just hone in and get back to business on that and chill. Funny story of the week is something I put in here is, I guess football season started. I don't watch sports, so sorry. You can ding me for that one. Give me a thumbs down, whatever you want to do. Don't do that. Give me a thumbs up. I'm out here doing this for you all. I'm just making videos out here. This is my commentary. This is my fantasy football right here. I see on TV all the time, passing through at work, people watching this talk show of somebody talking about football, like just hours after hours. Every time I go in the office, it's just about it. And the guys are all talking about it. They're talking about who's got an injury, who's doing what, who went to what college, their stats, all this other stuff. And I'm like, I don't even know what the hell you guys are watching. But in my head, it's funny. This is just look at the other side of the spectrum. They think I'm crazy is because, yeah, I got my book right here. This is my multi-sport athlete book right here. I have my runner book over there. All of my coached athletes have a tab in there. I have all their annual training plans in there. I have all their notable past performances since we've been working together in there. I have all their zones listed out in there in hard copy, in print. And it's like, I'm the coach of the team here. And y'all are my fantasy football people out there. So my time and energy, I guess, is just different than theirs. Is my focus, and I spoke about this with one of the athletes this past week, which was funny, is like, I know everything about these X amount of people that I'm coaching right now, just the same as they do for the fantasy football. And it's just funny. It's just two worlds, two totally different things. I just thought it was pretty funny, though, because every time I see that, I'm like, I don't know who they're talking about. I don't know who they're talking about with a hamstring injury, but I could tell you what this athlete is training for right now. And then they got something going on with their Achilles, and they have their marathons in 6 weeks, and I'm trying to figure it out. We're trying to do this. So long story short, I'd rather be in my position because it's so much more rewarding to know that we're kind of like pushing all to the same goal here. And I'm not just sitting here waiting for someone to score a touchdown or something like that. I am waiting for everybody to cross that finish line this weekend, and I'll be tracking out there. And that's going to be something awesome that I love about the coaching, is just when it all comes together and you have that magical race day out there. And that is just something special. Let's keep moving along here. Recovery wise for myself, I am in like week 4 post-op right now from my meniscus. Things are going well. I'm out there on the bike, loving it. Just been on trainer, been on my road bike, been on my gravel bike, outdoors, indoors, all this stuff. Strength training, basically full range of motion. Nothing's really bothering it. And this past week, I was able to do a couple short sessions on the treadmill, run, walk, intervals and stuff with really no pain, which was awesome. But the running stuff, just super easy to get back into it. I'm already, occupied and got things, and there's nothing on the calendar, so I'm not in a rush to just force it. Why am I going to force something out there? And I'm going to put in another full update soon about my 4 or 5 week progress with everything as I get a few more sessions under my belt. And it's cool. Just a side note too, I can look it up, but I made a note in my Training Peaks calendar for myself because I coach myself. From the date that basically these symptoms started, I put a 90-day time out there, and it's probably going to be beginning of September. So we're a couple weeks away from that. I put 90 days since, all my metrics just went crushed, down, no running, things like that, and power down on the bike. What I really liked about Training Peaks and what they did some time ago was they have like your all-time stat. If you have like a good power number on the bike or a good pace, they have your for the year. So we know in season, like based on the numbers and the meters you're using now, because side note, like my indoor trainer used to give me much higher numbers, so I'll never hit those numbers in Training Peaks ever again. But I can be realistic year to year and see how I'm peaking throughout the year. But with the 90-day feature that they have is really awesome for people coming back from a setback or an injury or something like that in season or in that calendar year, because now I can basically see how I'm trending with bike power when I get back to running over the last 90-day period. Because really, honestly, yeah, I ran a 1:30:30 half marathon earlier in the year. And yeah, I ain't looking to do that again. But at least now in the 90 days when I get back out there, like if I start putting some 3, 4, 5 mile runs together, I can start to see like, oh, that's just trending in the right direction. My paces are starting to come down, and I can see things like that. And I can see my heart rate, what it's doing for 30 minutes, 60 minutes in the last 90 days, and seeing how those things track. So that's a cool feature in there. That's something that I'm going to use and implement for myself, and that's something I'll be looking forward in the future as well, and using that as well with any of the athletes that might have a setback like that in that time frame. Side note on heart rate stuff, I get again. I always get questions from athletes. What do you think my heart rate should be for my race and this and that? I'll let you know right now. If you're not wearing a heart rate strap, we're pretty we're pretty shit out of luck. I hate to tell you. The inconsistencies with the sensor on the watch are just that. I mean, you can do two identical runs weekend after weekend, and the heart rates can be completely off. And I have tons of graphs that I screenshot where you will actually see the heart rate just going, and then all of a sudden it'll either be like a 15-20 beat dip or a 15-20 beat up, because probably this watch as you're running either got a little loose, it moved, you didn't have it tight enough, it wasn't as tight as last week, you got a little sweat under there, maybe you had a long sleeve shirt on, it started to work its way under the sensor and pulled it off your skin a little bit. And it's an optical sensor as based rather than an electrode sensor that the chest strap uses. The Coros makes another optical sensor that goes on your arm. At least it stays a little tighter and it will be more accurate. But again, thinking forward for next year, if this is a metric we really want to track and you haven't been wearing an external sensor, that might be something we want to consider for next year, because chances are we're probably going by pace or power on the bike right now and things like that. And I just have a rough estimation of heart rates. We don't have, because it would suck if I told you this is your danger zone on a certain race distance and you look down and it's giving you an inaccurate number and you think that your heart's completely in a different zone than it really is. So think about that for the future. Heart rate straps, heart rate data. I love heart rate training, but if we're going to do it, we have to be like 98% compliant with making sure that data is coming in. Because when I look at your run afterwards and to see what zones you're in, we have to make sure that we're doing that. And to finish up, it's just been a fun week. I collabed on a call with Coach Ryan again. He's prepping for a very big race. We're going to do a podcast episode on that coming up soon. And just really a lot of things like ready in the pipeline for 2026. It is going to be amazing. I'm taking what happened this year with a step back in racing for this second half of the year as an opportunity to open and go through as many doors as possible in the coaching world and get the most value I can for the athletes here. So it is going to be pretty awesome. And we really just got this race weekend. We have October to get through for the marathoners. We have a bunch of awesome marathons coming up from that time through November. And then that's it. Things are just going to start flying out everywhere. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be spoken about on here. There'll be a bunch of episodes on it, and we're just going to keep rocking and rolling. But this is a midweek talk, so I don't want to keep it too long. It is, again, week 38, 2025. Big weekend for the athletes. I just want to say you all have put in such disciplined work. It has been an honor and has been a privilege to coach you all along the way this year. And I just can't wait to track you all 1 mile at a time out there. So stay safe, stay healthy, keep balancing life 1 mile at a time. And I will catch you all on the next one.